So news companies report bad news more than they do good news because bad news gets more ratings. I could probably get a hell of a lot more views if I trash this anime versus giving it praise. But when I sat down and watched it, I actually enjoyed it. So I'm not going to trash this anime. And this is why. Now, I'll probably be ridiculed and lambasted for this, but I always took this perspective, especially when it comes, because a lot of people complain about how it was drawn and how it looks, and it doesn't look as good. And I'm 40 years old, so I know how things used to be and how things are now. So that's not a complaint that I have. I mean, when it comes to video games, I grew up playing the Nintendo, and it looked a hell of a lot better than Atari. At the time, it looked good. Now when you look at video games, it look real. And it's ridiculously crazy. There's no game out there that you can tell me as for the Xbox Series X or the PS5 or the PS4 or the Xbox One that I'm like, yeah, the graphics are horrible on it. There's not, because look where they were and look where they are now. Not saying, games or game makers can get, lazy or sloppy and so on and so forth, but I mean, just the stuff that they have now, it's hard for a game to look bad. I feel the same thing with animes. It's really hard to make an anime look bad, compared to what I grew up with. I grew up on G.I. Joe, Voltron, He-Man back in the mid 80s, and they look great at times. They're fantastic shows. They still look good, but they don't compare to what animes look like. I mean, animes are so much cleaner, and it's just, to me, there's no comparison. So that's not an argument I have. But enough about this. Let's get into this anime because I love this anime. So from what I heard, because I didn't read the manga, but I heard the storyline is pretty much intact from the manga to the anime. Now, if it's not true and you read the manga and you watch the anime, you can let me know, but I heard it's intact. The way the storyline breaks down is pretty much the guys are having a vote to see if they should keep man or get rid of man because, we've pretty much messed up the world in real life. We have overpopulated the globe. We have used up a lot of the natural resources. A lot of animals have gone extinct because of us. So they have just cause. And the way it's going in the vote is they're pretty much all voting to get rid of us. A Valkyrie comes out of nowhere, and she's like a demigod. She's half god, half human, and she wants to, instead of having a vote, she wants to invoke Ragnarok, which is they'll have a series of matches between God and man, and whoever wins, if man wins, then we stay. If gods win, then we go. So the way it goes is there is going to be 12 matches with a 13th match in case there's a tie. There's going to be a tie. And as I was watching it, I'm like, man, there's going to be 4 seasons because each fight takes 4 episodes and there's only 12 episodes per season. So yeah, this is going to be good. This is going to be great. So I only have 3 I only have a top 3 moments because, each match took 4 episodes. But I like it because, I'm coming from the Dragon Ball Z era where, the Frieza series took forever, and I loved it, me personally. I also come from Bleach when these fights just are long and dragged out, and I love that stuff. I don't know. I guess I'm weird, but I love it. And so for a fight to take 4 episodes, especially on Netflix when you can binge watch it, that's nothing. So that's pretty much the premise of it. And now it's time to get into the top 3 moments. I already put up the spoiler alert because technically breaking down storylines is a spoiler. But now we're really going to get some spoiling here. So I'm kind of doing it backwards. My number 1 moment was the first fight between Lubu and Thor. Now, I like this anime as far as them using a lot of the guys. There's not just one set of guys. They're using Norse guys. They're using Greek guys. They're using they're taking stuff from the First Testament or from the Old Testament, I should say. They're using Hindu. So they're intermixing a lot of gods, and they're taking people from history, like, you know, Lubu. The first match is Thor and Lubu. Lubu was like a Chinese general in like really early AD. I'm not exactly sure when. I probably could look it up and done better, but hey, I'm just kind of shooting from the hip right now. But he was a real person, the flying general. And this is the first match. So Thor comes out and he has a hammer that is stupidly big, way bigger than what he is, but obviously he's wielding it, so it just shows how strong he is. And then you got Lubu comes out riding on his horse, and he has a staff that comes out of nowhere. There's going to be some explanation to that staff here in a second. So they start off and, you know, they clash, you know, hammer, I guess, staff, and Lubu actually pushes Thor back, which is, everybody's like, what's going on? And then you know, they go at it again, and Lubu actually cuts Thor with his staff. And there was like, what the hell's going on here? He's just a human. So the Valkyries, what they're doing is they turn themselves into weapons so that the humans can wield them to take on the gods. So they go at it again, and Lubu actually manages to make Thor drop Mjolnir. And Thor's wearing these gloves. They're called Yarnborn. Now in Marvel Comics, Yarnborn is the battle axe that Thor uses when he doesn't have Mjolnir. And here, they're gauntlets that he wears. Now, they first said that he wears these gauntlets so that, because I guess Mjolnir is so powerful, otherwise he wouldn't be able to wield it. That's not the case. One of the gauntlets gets destroyed by Lubu because, you know, Thor blocks a shot that Lubu takes at him with one of the gloves. And come to find out that it's actually, he wears these gloves so that he doesn't break Mjolnir, because that's how strong Thor is until Mjolnir wakes up, because I guess it's a living being. And he takes off the other gauntlet and throws it to the ground and makes this big huge impression into the ground. So this shows how heavy they are. So they start going at it again, and now with Mjolnir awakened, Thor starts starting to get the best of Lubu. And they go for like this really big hit. Lubu blocks it, but he winds up breaking like both legs from the impact. So now we're thinking, oh, well, the fight's over with. Out of nowhere, Lubu's horse comes out of nowhere, and he pretty much is there to help Lubu fight. Thor allows it. He gets on his horse, and then they show this scene where Lubu, when he was alive, he was practicing like this one shot, and he kept practicing and then it got to the point where he actually was able to cut the sky. I mean, it was crazy. I'm thinking, oh yeah, Thor's in trouble, because the shot's actually called God Eater or something like that, or God Slayer. I'm not really sure. I think it was God Eater. So he goes in to use the God Eater mode. I'm like, oh yeah, Thor's in trouble. Didn't mean a thing. Thor took it, and he pretty much sent it back, and Lubu's arm pretty much got torn off, and he's so much of a G, he just took his shoulder and bit the rest of it off. So then he's like, well, you know, but he's having a time in his life because he's actually got a challenge now. He's actually going to lose. So he rides on a horse to charge in, because he's not giving up, to Thor, and Thor pretty much takes off his head with his hammer. And that's pretty much the end of the fight. But Lubu has an army that follows him, and they're crying, the horse is crying. They're like, well, we're going to follow our general. And then Thor, and the announcer's like, no, the fight's over. Thor's like, nah, you guys want to come on. And he pretty much takes out Lubu's army and the horse all in one shot. And that's how pretty much the first fight went, and it was fantastic. So my number 2 moment is when Adam fought Zeus. It was supposed to be Adam versus Hindu god. The Zeus is like, no, I'm going to fight him. And the Hindu guy got all pissed a little bit, but then decided not to do it. But there's a reason why I think Zeus wanted to get in there. So they go, did the whole announcing thing. They start going at it. Zeus tries to punch Adam, and he's pretty much dodging all of his shots. And then he's able to counter anything that Zeus throws at him. Well, God made Adam in his image. and pretty much gave him the power to counter anything that somebody throws at him. So they even show a scene when, they show the whole infamous scene when the whole forbidden fruit and the snake tried to seduce Eve into biting the apple. Couldn't find out the snake bit the apple and tried to blame it on Eve. Well, Adam comes out of nowhere. He picks up all the forbidden fruit, starts biting it, throws it away. It's like it's not important. And the snake tries to attack Adam, and he counters it. And the snake had arms and legs. Adam hit him with his own power, cuts off all the arms and legs. That's why snakes don't have arms or legs. So, so then Zeus is pretty much transforming, trying to get more powerful to hit Adam. Doesn't work. Goes into his final form. Like everybody in the crowds get scared. Like this is Zeus's final form. Doesn't matter. Adam's pretty much countering everything. What finally gets into his way is two things. His counter he can only use for a certain amount of time. Eventually he's going to get exhausted because he's human. And then also two, some blood gets into Adam's eye, which messes up his counter because his counter comes from his eyes. And then Zeus starts landing punches. So then they're just starting throwing punches back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And even Zeus is starting to get exhausted and he has to limit his power. So boom, boom, and it looks like Adam won, right? Because boom, Zeus drops to the ground, Adam's standing there. But then everybody notices that Adam's not even moving. Come to find it, then Zeus lets everybody in. He was like, Adam took his final breath a while back, and he kept throwing punches, and he died on his feet, standing. How gangster is that, boy? Adam is a gangster. He lost the fight, but he went out like a G, and that's how you're supposed to go out. And he pretty much pushed Zeus to his limits, and that was my number 2 moment. So number 3 and final moment was when Poseidon fought Kojiro Sasuke. Now, all right, so Poseidon's pretty much hyped up like being the older brother of Zeus and actually probably more powerful than Zeus, and every god is scared of Poseidon, and they're pretty much hyping him up, but he has like this arrogance about him. And Kojiro Sasuke is somebody who has trained in sword fighting, but the way that he does it is he actually fights everybody, takes their best shot, loses, and then learns how to use their move or to counter their move. So he's been losing for like a long time. It's like they call him history's biggest loser. So, I mean, it's looking bleak for mankind. So they start going at it. And I mean, pretty much the way that's going, before he even starts, he's fighting Poseidon in his mind and it's all going bad. So, but he's learning, he's thinking of counters before the fights even start. So when they start going at it, Poseidon can't land a punch on him because he knows how Poseidon's going to fight. Well, there is a moment where Poseidon does something that he didn't calculate, and he actually gets hit with a shot. And so then Poseidon starts to try to pour it onto him, and it's like he's not in the water, but it feels like his attacks are to the point to where he's drowning and he has to pull himself out of it. So it wasn't as exciting this fight as the first two. What winds up happening is he starts to use all the different moves that he's learned over the years from all the other different swordsmen who are in the crowd. And he winds up being able to cut off the arm of Poseidon on his trident. So Poseidon grabs with the other arm, cuts off that arm. So Poseidon grabs it with his mouth, and he actually goes up and he pretty much sliced Poseidon like a fish. I mean, ironically. And pretty much that's how the fight ends. Like I said, it wasn't as exciting as the first two fights, but it wasn't a bad fight either. So that was my number 3 moment. So those were the 3 fights in season 1, and it shows a preview of what season 2 is going to be, where they show the ring getting formed into 18th century London, and it's going to be Jack the Ripper versus Hercules. Hercules is technically a demigod. He's half man, half god. and I guess he decided to side with the gods. The Valkyries are demigods too, and they decided to side with humans. So that's probably going to be a real exciting fight, Jack the Ripper versus Hercules. Like I said, I mean, I liked watching this anime. The manga's probably better. You know, the mangas are always better, but I liked watching the anime, and I'm probably not going to read the manga. So you guys can ridicule me, but I liked watching this. I enjoyed it. In saying that, if you are new here to SEM, please hit the subscribe button and become part of this SEM Nation. Once you become part of this nation, bell notification, you know when the video comes out. And if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. My name is Dorian. This is SEM. Thank you guys for watching my videos. I really do appreciate it. And you guys have a good day.